touch with Kenya? Has your relationship changed based on what happened?
I have not spoken to Kenya since around the time that whole thing happened.
Okay.
And, you know, that's really kind of a sad situation for me because I was there to just support her.
You might think that the ATL scene had subsided, but then Cynthia Bailey returns to the spotlight and isn't holding back. After splitting from Mike Hill, Cynthia has been largely silent, but she's now prepared to talk. And she has a lot to say, I can assure you. Cynthia talked candidly about everything in a recent interview, including her tense friendship with Kenya Moore and this unexpected new man who has everyone fascinated. Following Cynthia's departure from the show, it seems that her relationship with Kenya never fully recovered. Although they made an effort to remain close, Cynthia acknowledged that Kenya began to distance itself, particularly after the camera stopped rolling. Cynthia said she began to notice the change in energy at events and even in private conversations, and she mentioned that it hurt her more than she had anticipated. She did not sugarcoat it, everyone. And then there was that meltdown where Cynthia was hardly acknowledged, and according to insiders, Kenya even publicly disparaged her. Additionally, Cynthia may now be recovering in a completely different time zone. You read correctly, she was recently seen cuddling with a European businessman while on vacation in Italy. Cynthia's close friends and family claim that this man, who has been in her life for a few months, is completely different from Mike. Cynthia just spilled the real tea, so stay put because we have reactions to receipts. Cynthia just crystal clear stated that she is done remaining silent, so let's go back to the beginning. Everything took place at a salon event, which was a significant occasion for Kenya Moore and a glamorous launch pad for her new company. However, things took a rapid turn. What was supposed to be a festive evening devolved into yet another bloody altercation. In an attempt to advance their friendship, Cynthia arrived prepared to stand by Kenya. Rather than feeling united, Cynthia claimed she felt alienated in the space. She was hardly acknowledged by Kenya. The moment Cynthia walked in, there was a chilly vibe and a spotlight that somehow grew dimmer. There was no warm greeting or gratitude. I told her that, and she later acknowledged in her interview that I felt it was beneath her. The intention behind that line was not to offend, but Cynthia has always supported women, particularly her friends. She claimed, however, that night that Kenya seemed to let the drama take over and left the event, as well as the attempt to mend something that no longer felt reciprocal. The situation becomes even more complicated at this point, though, as Cynthia claims she hasn't heard from Kenya since. No texts, no calls. Instead of simply abandoning the friendship, Cynthia made an effort. She called out multiple times. She claimed that she attempted to get in touch with him through mutual friends, left a voicemail, and sent a few texts. However, she received no response at all. By her own admission, I still care about her, but I had to step back. It was a powerful part. The love she still had for Kenya was evident in her face, but Cynthia knew she couldn't keep repeating the same pattern, and there was undoubtedly some feedback from fans. Cynthia deserved better, a fan wrote in a tweet. In the absence of anyone else, Kenya forgot who was writing for her. Someone else wrote, Kenya has always been untidy. Cynthia has just decided to choose peace. Obviously, Cynthia is no longer pursuing friendships that make her feel invisible. Her return to the Real Housewives of Atlanta is contingent upon her own desires. Instead of returning as a full-time peach holder, Cynthia returned as a show friend, and she made sure everyone understood that it wasn't a step back, but rather a decision. Instead of returning to the drama pool full-time, she preferred to maintain her relationship with the Atlanta family while concentrating on her acting career. Remember that Cynthia is not a newbie to long-term planning. One of the few celebrities who has maintained her respect and relevance is her. It feels complete now, as fans continue to make jokes about the famous friend contract she once forced Kenya to sign. She's managing appearances, Hollywood projects, and her return to a calmer Atlanta life. But don't assume that means she has stopped telling the truth. Cynthia said something clicked the instant Kelly, the newest cast member of Real Housewives of Atlanta, entered the mix. Despite having only recently met, Cynthia joked that it felt like they had known each other for years because of their shared Pisces energy, which they dubbed cosmic. Unlike other forced Bravo friendships, Cynthia made it apparent that this one felt genuine. She admired Kelly's ability to remain cute even when things around her became chaotic, her sense of calm and her wit. Kelly was refreshing to Cynthia, who has endured her share of side-eye and criticism. In fact, she stated in her interview that filming scenes with Kelly made her appreciate being in show business even more. And it's not just Kelly. Cynthia gave the whole redesigned cast a lot of credit. She commended this season's fresh energy, stating that it felt natural and less forced than in some previous years. In her opinion, the group dynamics were genuine personalities clashing and connecting organically, rather than feeling like they were being puppeteered behind the scenes. Nevertheless, Cynthia acknowledged the change between the newcomers and the originals. Cynthia thinks it's time for the show to change, and she's all for it, even though some diehard fans are still with the original cast. She claimed that the combination of well-known names and new faces could be the difference between the franchise and becoming stuck in the same old formula. As everyone knows, Cynthia is unable to escape the chaos, and she has ideas about the other drama as well. Now, let's discuss Drew. Cynthia didn't mince words when she was questioned about Drew including Dennis. She chuckled and said that baby daddies hit differently, but she also made it plain that she would never choose to bring an ex into a social situation. Cynthia, however, was deeply troubled by the tension between Shamea and Portia. She said she was saddened by it. Since the early seasons, fans have been aware of how close those two were. The response to the question of why Portia arrived late was, "She's always on Portia time." Furthermore, Cynthia stated, "She's always on Portia time." It was just Cynthia being direct but elegant. It wasn't mean-spirited. The group's flow is occasionally impacted by the delays, but she acknowledges Portia's hustle. Fans believed it couldn't get any more exciting, but then one legendary peach made a reappearance. That's right, Cynthia had a lot to say about Phaedra Park's return to the reality TV scene. Cynthia claimed that even though she didn't look very tall, the impact was enormous. With a few lines, Phaedra left fans buzzing with her trademark shady charm. Cynthia acknowledged that whether or not she loved her, she could understand why the audience was so excited about her return. With just a glance and an honest remark, Phaedra can enliven a room. Behind the scenes, Cynthia also offered us some tea. According to her, the production made a conscious effort to restore the magic this season. In addition to using drama, producers were creating nostalgia and everything from who was invited to events to where the cast filmed. Though nothing is confirmed, Cynthia hinted that we might not have seen Phaedra's last days either. She said the door definitely isn't closed and ended the conversation there. Hold on. Cynthia dropped a love bomb on us right when we thought she was only interested in finding friends. Yes, Cynthia Bailey is no longer available and she is searching far outside of Atlanta this time. Cynthia couldn't stop grinning when she mentioned that she was dating an Amsterdam-based musician. Cynthia claims that things just developed from there after they met by chance when she was attending an event in Europe. They have been keeping it quiet, not because they are hiding, but rather because Cynthia wants to preserve the tranquility she has at last discovered. She discussed the difference in the way this relationship feels, real connection without any drama, pressure, or attention. It appears that this new chapter will be all about ease after everything she has experienced, including marriage, divorce, long-distance love, and public heartbreak. Fans have taken notice. Comments like, "Cynthia looks like peace personified," have been posted on social media expressing how much people love her glow up. The man on the other side of the world should treat her like the queen that she is. But Cynthia has been clear, despite the happiness, she's not moving quickly. She is not hurrying to make headlines or labels. She is involved with someone. She's glad. She is primarily focused on herself. It is refreshing to see her invest in herself after witnessing her devote so much of herself to others on the show for so long. But more than tea, Cynthia's true gift was a lesson in life. Cynthia has consistently upheld the value of grace, and in her most recent interview, she discussed the lessons she has gained from being in the spotlight. Although she acknowledged that she hasn't always gotten it right, her development is what has made her one of the most reputable figures in the history of the show. No one enjoys being incorrect, but when you are, own it and mean it, Cynthia advised. It's how you develop, and it's that honesty that has sustained her fan base over the years. Cynthia always kept things honest, even when things got messy. When she heard someone, she took it personally and didn't follow trends. She also shared how crucial it is to treat yourself with grace, not just others. When it comes to dealing with broken hearts or failed friendships, Cynthia's strategy is about healing rather than hatred. Cynthia is therefore able to maintain her popularity despite fan disagreements over drama. Her choices about what to do, who she invests her energy in, and how she reacts when things go wrong have all been deliberate. She has stayed grounded thanks to that mindset, which is why she feels so grounded when she returns to the show. So Cynthia is living her truth, whether it's a romance in Amsterdam or a friendship on hold. We must hear from you now. Will Cynthia and Kenya ever be able to mend their friendship, in your opinion? Are we supporting her new boyfriend too? Please leave a remark below and remember to subscribe so you don't miss the newest tea.